Good evening, Fernwood. It is your ethical friend Neil here, and it's time for us to do the right thing with another episode of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. Today we are watching episode 145 of the series. We're in season 2 at the end of week 3. Yes, it's a Friday, October 22nd, 1976. Let's recap. Yesterday's episode started right on the heels of the previous one, with Tom entering right after Loretta left angrily because Mary had revealed some secrets. Mary and Tom have a very loving morning as Mary considers whether or not it is the right thing to do for her to go back into the mental ward. Tom promises that he doesn't want her to go back to the ward, but she needs to make the decision. He gives her agency in what to do with her life at this point, and Mary is very thankful for that. In the offices of the ward, Dr. Williams and Mr. Ackerman discuss again the ethics of keeping Mary Hartman in. Dr. Williams believes that Mary is healthy enough to function in the world, while Mr. Ackerman is very much enjoying having a celebrity like Mary in there and the notoriety that is bringing to him and the ward. Next we see Mary returning to the ward and making connections with the patients that are there. She seems to believe that this is a home away from home, and she's starting to feel very comfortable there. Then we head over to the Capri Lounge, where Merle Jeters speaks to the Deputy Commissioner about Condos for Christ and making that happen. The Deputy Chief, who also happens to be married to Wanda, who is another patient in the mental ward, makes very clear that he wants his palm greased, that he is expecting a bribe before he will do anything for Condos for Christ. Then Merle runs into Loretta, and Loretta sets a very clear boundary that she wants nothing to do with him, and this is her final goodbye to him. We return to the mental ward, where Wanda and Mary share some close times. Then Nurse Gimble joins the conversation and shares a photograph, and also we happen to see that she's had another injury, and Mary seems fairly suspicious of the story that Nurse Gimble gives for why she keeps getting these injuries. That's all of the recapping I'm ready to do for yesterday's episode, but in case we see any other storylines, Kathy is pregnant and is looking for the father of the baby, and Martha is distraught because George disappeared mysteriously. She thinks it might be UFOs. I believe it is time to start.
Mary Hartman! Mary Hartman!
Chester, look, Chester, please don't be mad at me. I'm sorry I was late. And when I said that your device was just a bomb,
Don't say bomb. Say device.
Okay, Chester, I didn't mean that it was just that you were just doing it to get attention. I didn't mean that. I meant that you used that like the way a person writes a poem or makes a painting. It was just your way of telling us you don't like pollution.
I just want to prove to you, Mary, that I am real.
Chester, you are real. I mean, one of the things that I have never doubted is how real you are, Chester. I mean, you must understand that, but you can be real without blowing up Ohio, Chester. Trust me. Just trust me on that one, Chester.
Hello, Fletch.
Fletch Lab, Alpha Bobby 6 speaking.
Fletch, howdy do. Guess who? And kaboom to you.
Where are you? Listen to me. You've got to return that stuff. Do you hear me?
Fletch, I want you to meet a friend of mine. This is Mary.
Hi, I'm Mary. Who are you?
Lady, I'm a physicist, and that friend of yours is out of his mind. You have to get the plutonium-239.
Plutonium-239. Now, is that anything like Formula 406? Chester, can you give him the plutonium-239?
No, absolutely not.
I'm sorry, but he won't give it to you. Excuse me. Why not, Chester?
Plutonium is very toxic, Mary. Why, if you so much as touch it, why, it could be ingested by your skin and kill you.
Hey, listen. What are you trying to do? Get me killed? What is he, from Sunnydale Mental Institution?
Lady, listen to me. Plutonium occurs in bomb usage as plutonium-239, but it tends to breed, and it takes on a number of isotopic forms, going from 239 to 240 to 241.
Are you trying to tell me that a bomb can carry on sexual activities? How crazy is this guy?
Listen. The majority of material used in building the bomb is plutonium-239. It has a half-life of 24,000 years, and which means, in the passage of 24,000 years, its strength, the radioactive density of the plutonium, decreases by only 1/2.
I have never heard anything so unbelievable. Are you saying that a bomb can breed itself and exist for such an incredible length of time when we could all be dead in only moments?
It's the absolute truth. You have to believe it.
It does have a ring of truth to it.
Yeah, listen. I work with your friend. He left the lab with the nuclear capability. He is capable, both technically and psychologically, of destroying every man, woman, child, and plant in an area roughly 50 miles square, 2,400 square miles, with one finger, everything.
Everything?
Everything! Oh, by the way, you aren't near here now, are you? I mean, where exactly are you right now? You wouldn't be within 2,400 square miles of...
Dogs, too.
Cats, too. Mary, I love you. I really do.
Charlie, honey, what do you think about me adding some classical tunes to my new act at the Capri Lounge? You know, maybe something like When You Walk Through a Storm, or like Climb Every Mountain, something like that. What do you think? Charlie? Yo, what do you think?
What, honey?
I was asking you, do you think I should add some classical tunes to my act? You know, like The Impossible Dream, which is how you're making me feel. Hon, what are you so low for?
Honey, anything you want to sing is all right with me.
Charlie, why are you so wrinkled up above your eyebrows and everything? What are you reading there?
I'm just doing some research.
Well, what kind of research? What is this stuff? Police Gazette, Hassler, Saturday. Oh, this looks interesting. He beat her brains out with the cow bone. Charlie, what kind of research does a country western soon-to-be superstar's manager have any business doing with this kind of stuff? Honey, no wonder you're so gloomy.
Honey, I'm just trying to find something out, is all.
Charlie Haggers.
Loretta, would you do me a favor? Would you go in the kitchen and get me a glass of water? My mouth's kind of dry.
Well, I guess it is dry reading this kind of filth.
Oh, it's just a magazine.
Well, it is not just a magazine. This here magazine is an insult to the Lord above and to your wife's womanhood. That's what
Well,
it
honey,
is.
I didn't even look inside it when I got it.
Well, what kind did you think it was?
Honey, I didn't even look. I just took two of everything they had on the stand.
I don't have any business with that kind of... What are you reading all that stuff for anyway?
Honey, it's just that they have, like, advertisements and, like, messages in the backs of these magazines, you know? Sometimes you just... Wait a minute. Loretta, come here.
All right. Where?
Right there.
Shoot, I don't know how I can read it. I don't even know how to pronounce that. What is it? Architectural prosthesis.
Yes.
What is that?
Go, just read it. Will you read it?
Okay, if you've suffered from the loss of one or both of... Are you serious? It'll make it just like new?
Read it. Keep reading.
Let's see, perfectly simple surgery. Money back guarantee. Do you believe? What a deal. Charlie, this is in Clare, New Jersey.
Yeah, they're gonna make me new in New Jersey. honey, if I go to this doctor and if what he does is a success, like it guarantees right there in black and white that it's gonna be, then I promise you on my bald head that I will never, ever make you or me read a magazine ever again in all our lives.
Well, Charlie, if this guy can do what it says he does, well, honey, neither one of us will never have to read another magazine again.
Hi.
Aren't
Mrs.
these
Kimball.
flowers just beautiful?
Beautiful, just beautiful. I mean, not excessive, but just
I
beautiful.
think it is so important to create an atmosphere of beauty for disturbed people, don't you?
Yes, I think I'm very disturbed.
Oh, Mary, no, now come on, you are progressing just splendidly. You are much less disturbed than you were when you were first committed here.
I know, but it's not quite that kind of disturbed. I mean, I'm very disturbed about Mr. Markham.
Sexually?
No, I don't mean that kind of disturbed. I mean disturbed. I'm very scared about him. I just spoke to a friend of his, and he told me that this plutonium-239 stuff is a thing which breeds itself. It's an isotopic form. That's what he said, and it has a half-life of 2,400 years. That's a very long time. And he says we could all be blown up. It's the same principle as population explosion.
Mary,
From starvation. Do you know what I mean?
You are not going to tell me that you still have this wild notion that Mr. Markham has some kind of atomic bomb.
No, it's not some kind of atomic bomb. He has an atomic bomb. I mean, this is nothing against him. I mean, personally, I love the guy, you know?
This is disturbing, oh my dear.
Oh, then it is disturbing to you.
No, I mean professionally disturbing. Because you're giving way to those fantasies, and I thought you were doing so well, but now I see that you're regressing, and that is not good for your recovery. That's very bad for your recovery.
There is going to be no recovery for anyone, Mrs. Kimball, unless you get the plutonium-239 away from him. I mean, it is very dangerous. It is for his sake. I mean, this is a good thing. I don't want him to get himself
Mary,
into trouble.
This is just a silly story.
No, this is not a silly story. This is not a silly story. I'll tell you what's silly. It's silly that he should own a bomb. That's silly. I mean, government should own bombs. Only government. Only the very healthy should own atomic bombs.
Right.
But this is not a silly story.
Mary, don't you see what's happening?
What? I see that nothing is happening. I see that no one is taking that bomb away from him.
Mary, let me explain something to you.
I don't want an explanation. I want disarmament. Then I want an explanation.
Mary, please, try and calm yourself.
Well, how can I calm myself? I want nuclear disarmament. I'm just an American housewife. I'm not Henry Kissinger.
Mary, you have got to understand that Mr. Markham is simply performing a sexual function with you.
I have absolutely no sexual relationship with Mr. Markham. Plutonium-239 is sexual. It breeds.
I did not mean that kind of sexual.
Sexual is sexual.
What I mean is that the male of the species always appears violent. It's their nature.
My husband is the male of the species. He doesn't appear violent.
Well, of course he is. Mary, dear, loving him so much, you just don't realize it. But it is the nature of men to always appear violent. All men.
But I'm talking about an atomic explosion.
But you shouldn't be. What we should be talking about is the difference between the sexes.
I know the difference. I'm a girl.
I don't mean that. I mean the basic emotional differences. Look, men feel that they have to project an image of violence. Now, Mr. Markham, being somewhat disturbed, tries to project a particularly violent image with this silly talk about bombs, but it is all just a facade. And it is the function of the woman to understand that men are just little boys trying to scare their women with an appearance of violence.
But what if it's not an appearance of violence? I mean, what if it's real violence? I mean, there is real violence. I mean, there's war.
That is the fault of woman.
War is woman's fault?
Of course. Of course.
Hitler wasn't a woman.
But it is the function of woman to be the peacemaker. Now, if violence erupts, it is because woman has not fulfilled her function. I mean, she has not poured oil over the troubled waters. She has allowed men who were playing at being violent to actually become violent.
You mean Hitler was just playing? And that the fact that he became violent was the fault of women?
I knew you'd understand. Now, I want you to think about that, Mary, and I want you to understand that, and learn, because that is the fact of life. And when you learn to accept that as the truth, well, then you'll be ready for the outside world. Aren't these flowers just lovely? I mean, look at that. That is just so lovely. And now we have created an atmosphere of peace. I have created a truly feminine atmosphere. Functioning as a woman is so satisfying.
Yeah, and it's really at the top of the line. I'm very close to it. Now, you folks, I think, have made a very wise choice.
You'll love it. You'll love it.
Yeah, you will, Mrs. Clotterman. Just think, you can have your own recreation home. You go anywhere you want in America. In addition to that, we're going to throw in those genuine, artificial plastic flowers at no extra cost to you. You see? So Mr. Clotterman, if you'll just sign right there, you'll be your own king.
Wait a minute.
Now, Chicky Pen, listen to me a minute.
For the money you're putting into that truck, we
But,
could...
Mrs. Clotterman, it's not a truck. It's a status symbol. Now, you're going to be the envy of all your neighbors, whoever they are, wherever they are. And just think, all of America's national parks you're going to have as your very own backyard.
If you could get in. On the radio, they say you have to make reservations a year in advance.
Well, you know what they say. There's nothing like planning ahead. But seriously, good things are worth waiting for, don't you think?
These are my sunset years, and I'm going to enjoy them the way I want.
Well, you're not going to drag me along on that gas hog to do the cooking and the cleaning.
Mrs. Clotterman, it's not a gas hog. The king of the road gets fantastic gas mileage.
Well, it's not my idea of enjoying my sunset years. I'm going home, and I'm taking the car. You drive that monster, and good luck in finding a place to park.
Mrs. Clotterman, just a minute. Let me speak to you. Just don't forget...
Don't speak to me. I don't want to talk to
Mrs.
you.
Clotterman, the flower, she's going to love the flower. Believe me, Mr. Clotterman. No. She doesn't ruin everything. Believe me, she's going to come around. I know women. I really do. She's going to come around. She's just like my wife. She always comes around sooner or later. Believe me. You know how women are, you know. Sure. Now, listen, I'm going to give you my own personal guarantee that both you and your wife are going to enjoy this king of the road for a lot of years to come. Believe me, Mr. Clotterman. Now, if you'll just sign right there. That king of the road, that little baby's going to be yours. She's going to love it. Believe me.
It'll be a surprise.
Yeah. You're going to surprise the socks off of her. Hey, Mr. Clotterman, congratulations. Really, congratulations. Really. No kidding. Wonderful. Here are the keys. Huh? It's really been a pleasure I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Really.
We'll enjoy it.
A pleasure. You will enjoy it. Believe me. I guarantee it.
Thank you.
I guarantee it.
Goodbye.
And she'll love it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Charlie, guess what? Come here.
How are you?
Guess what? I just sold my first recreational vehicle. How do you like that?
Hey, far out. That's tremendous, girl. That's terrific. Hey, that's marvelous.
How you doing?
Hey, what happened to the bandage on your nose? It's gone.
It's gone. I'm just about healed up now. I got a little color in there.
You look practically normal.
Well, my nose used to go a little bit like this, and now it goes a little bit like that.
Hey, how's the leg?
Oh, fine. It's getting better all the time.
Sit down. Sure.
Yeah.
Hey, well, you're looking great. But you know what they say, you can't keep a good man down.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's what they say, then I'm sure hope it's true, because I've been down a lot lately. I'm not used to it.
Well, you're up and around, though.
I'm around. I got that part. I just thought I'd come and see how you doing here. Hey!
What?
Take a look at your fancy Sunday go-to-meeting dress.
Yeah,
Tom,
look at
I'm
that.
so depressed I could stomp a turtle.
Hey, Charlie, come
No,
on.
wait, no. Never mind. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. It slipped out.
Hey, look, wait a minute. If you need a loaner, you can...
No, I'm fine. No, there's no problem there. I got the disability, and we still got some royalties coming in from Vitamin L. You know, it's doing okay for a follow-up. It's Tony Orlando says he's going to cut a cover version for some new album of his.
Huh.
I don't know. It's not hit millions, but it'll buy a loaf of bread.
Yeah, it'll help till Loretta gets back on the showbiz track, huh?
Good Lord willing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to that. That'll keep my mind occupied. Yeah. I really can't complain. I mean, pay's pretty good at the plant. You know that.
Yeah.
And fringe benefits, pension. You know, all in all, it's better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick.
Charlie, I'm going to tell you something. You know, security is not everything. It isn't. I mean, you got to move up in life. You know, it's the American way, from blue collar to white collar, Charlie.
How's the pay?
The pay here is good. I mean, I get a base salary plus commission, and the opportunities are unlimited. It's all up to me, Charlie. The more I sell, the more I make. You know, I mean, can you think of a fairer deal than that?
Is one of you the chief honcho around here?
Oh, well, the boss is out right now. Well, I guess you could call me a substitute honcho.
I wouldn't call myself a substitute if I were you. You're the real McCoy.
Well, thank you.
That wasn't meant as a come-on, you understand. Think a nice thing, say a nice thing. That's my motto. Actually, it's about my trailer. I've got a Sports Cruiser 300, still under warranty. And, well, the guarantee says that any company dealer in the country can service it. And it needs servicing.
Well, where have you got it parked? Is it outside?
Sure, I carried it here on my back. What would I need him for if I could have driven it in?
I see what you mean.
Yeah, well, look, lady.
No, the name's not Lady. I had a dog named that once. Here, Lady. Here, Lady. Oh, I'll answer to a whistle, but it better be immediately followed by Annie. Annie Wiley.
Well, hi, Annie Wiley. I'm Tom Hartman.
That sounds like he's trying to tell us something. Oh, actually, the trailer is parked on a vacant lot at Sutter and 14th.
Well, is somebody going to be there after I get off work?
Sure, me. I travel alone. What time you be there?
A little after 6.
Terrific. I'll be waiting for you.
Okay.
Say, listen, is there any reason why I can't know his name?
Charlie Haggers.
Charlie Haggers?
How are you?
Fitz. Well, see you guys.
Is she a live one, huh?
Down, boy, down. You're a married man.
Oh, come on. I didn't mean that kind of a live one. I mean...
No. Now, how come you going over there yourself instead of sending a mechanic?
Oh, you know, Charlie, that's why you're not a businessman, you see? I mean, I might be able to sell her a new king of the road, see?
The Super Cruiser 300 she's got is under warranty still.
Well, Charlie, then it's good public relations.
What kind of relations?
Come on. You know, I don't understand you, you know? I mean, all you think about these days is sex. That's all you're ever thinking about. Everything you think about is sex. I don't know. What the hell's gotten into you, Charlie? What the hell? Charlie?
Well, we've got a few different storylines that I feel like are starting to move forward, and some that are maybe in the background that we will just have to wait and see till we find out more about that. You know, we start with Mary getting confirmation from the scientist, for Fletch, I believe his name was, that makes clear to Mary that the plutonium is a real deal. And that is terrifying information. My thought is that it's kept in the lunchbox. That's a guess, but that's where I am. He carries that thing so closely. Although it's very radioactive material, and I don't believe that a thermos and a lunchbox would be enough to keep a person safe from it. Then we head over to the Haggers, where Charlie is looking through magazines for things in the want to add section, and this is decades before Viagra and penile implants, but that's what he's looking for, some kind of treatment for his his loss, his testicle that is gone. And I'm glad that it's not exactly the same storyline as Tom went through when he had his unnamed sexual dysfunction, but wow, just to think where the technology was in the 1970s for erectile dysfunction, it wasn't very far, and there was a lot of chicanery out there, lots of there's a history of, I don't want to get into this, but penile enlargement or erectile dysfunction, and there's a lot of scams out there because that's one of the bigger insecurities that men have. Just as a generality. I mean, any individual has different insecurities, but we'll see if that becomes a plot. But clearly, Charlie is still very insecure about the situation, and at the very least, Loretta is there to support. Then we get to Mary and Nurse Gimble, who really, I think, and part of, if you were watching my face during that, I felt a little bit of disgust at the generalizations of gender, which I think were normal at the time and which I don't subscribe to anymore, because gender is way more complicated than men do this and women do that, and I feel like it's a fairly traditional point of view that doesn't hold up as people go beyond their socialization and start to feel what they're feeling. But the other side of this scene is that Nurse Gimble completely ignores Mary's fears or discounts them or does not investigate what's going on here. Nurse Gimble writes off that Fletch might even exist and simply goes on a tirade about how men are responsible for war and women are responsible for stopping war, and maybe it's because we live in a patriarchal society, but I feel like whoever's in charge of the society might make the war happen. So Mary is getting ignored there, and a thing that occurred to me in the midst of it, because I have so much thought about Nurse Gimble and her injuries, and I connect it, as I think was intended, to some kind of domestic abuse, unspoken, right? And Nurse Gimble's actual story that she tells is that she's just very accident prone. But something that Nurse Gimble said was that men are about violence and men are representative of violence. I may not have the exact vocabulary there, but that may be a justification for anything happening in the home in Nurse Gimble's mind, and that's really sad and gross. Aside from the generalizations about gender and the binary that existed in the 1970s, that was taken for granted in the 1970s. Then we see Tom in the office making his first sale of a recreational vehicle. And I don't really know when recreational vehicles first came on the market in the United States. I have to imagine it was very close to this time. Maybe there were trailers before then. No, now that I'm remembering, there was a Lucy and Desi movie with a very long trailer. But actual recreational vehicles that didn't have cars attached to them, I don't know when they hit the market, and I imagine they were very new because that's something that the show would benefit from in terms of Tom taking this kind of position. But we see a little bit of a scuffle between the couple there. I don't expect to see them again. We see Charlie come in to talk about his depression and what he is feeling, and I think it's good that he is getting these feelings out of his system, or at least vocalizing them and verbalizing them. And then we meet a new character who seems to be introduced as someone who we will see again, and that's Annie, I believe her name was. So there seemed to be some chemistry between her and Tom, and that's a little bit scary, especially considering how Tom and Mary have really reconnected in a loving way. And it looks like Tom has no intention towards Annie, but Annie isn't necessarily clear at the moment that Tom is committed to someone in a monogamous relationship, as it were. So Tom is going to meet this woman to fix the RV, and that may happen over the weekend, or it may be on the start of next episode. I guess we will see. Hey y'all, we have had a lot of things happen this week. Thank you so much for watching along with me. Thank you for being here and sharing your thoughts in the comments, because, you know, conversation's important to me. Thank you for being here again, and we will see you next week in Fernwood.